A woman contacted me for an anniversary band. She wanted one with a heavy texture, so I showed her this, and she said yes, just like that band. Now we're not going to add the diamond in the middle, but she wanted a plain band in 14 karat yellow gold, so we're melting our gold and pouring it into our mold. And there it is. It looks pretty rough, but we'll clean it up and put it in the rolling mill. Now this will give us our dimensions. I think we need it around 5 millimeters wide and 2 millimeters thick, and then we can add our texture to it. But I'm just going to pass it through the rolling mill and keep incrementally tightening those rollers so it pushes the gold down and gives me a nice piece to work with. And this rolling mill has been invaluable. I use it all the time. It's a great piece of equipment. And there we go. Now it's time for the texture. Here's my favorite texturing hammer as of late. It gives a really abstract look, but I have been really enjoying it. So we're striking it with a larger hammer, and that way we can position the texturing hammer exactly where we want it. And I had to go back over some spots because it didn't quite have the texture I wanted. So that's the nice thing about this. You can just give it another strike and make it exactly how you want. So once that is finished, we have to anneal it. Because doing this work hardens it. You're smashing the molecules together and making the metal get more and more brittle. So we go ahead and we anneal it. And the key to annealing is to slowly heat up the metal until it gets a dark red color, kind of a glowing dark red. And once we get it there, we're going to quench it in water. It's the opposite of steel. All precious metals you can do this with. You can quench it or you can let it air cool. But for brevity of time, we're going to quench it. There we go. And now I'll be able to form the ring easier once I get to that point. But first, we're going to go ahead and we're going to square up this end with the barrette file, my favorite file. And, you know, you just have to. You have to get a square edge to start from. So you're going to remove some gold, and there we go. And the next step is we know exactly how long we need the ring blank to be because I have a nice chart that tells me. So it tells you the finger size and the thickness of the material, and then it tells you the length that you'll need to fabricate the ring. And we'll cut off our little piece, and then we'll start forming our ring. And this is another one of my favorite tools. It's just a ring bender. This actually saves a lot of time, and it saves your hands from trying to do it manually with a pliers. So when you do it with the pliers, you can just get cramped to hands. Then we're going to cut the seam so it lines up just right. And we're going to put some flux, Flux, on this joint, and we're going to hard solder into this joint right here. So there it is. There's a little piece of yellow gold hard solder, and then we'll position it right over the seam, and we'll draw it down through the seam by heating it from underneath. Once that solder melts, a thing called capillary action happens, and it will draw right into the seam. It's a really cool process. Once it draws into there, it fills the seam and connects these two pieces so they are permanently in place together. Then we need to round the ring out because sadly forming it on the ring bender doesn't get it exactly round. And now I'm cleaning up the seam on the inside, and then we're going to put a comfort fit on this too so it's really comfortable to wear. We'll mark our edges, take a divider, and draw lines on it so we know exactly how much material to take off. And we'll once we start grinding the material off, then we just have to go through all the processes like normal, where we grind, and then we sand, and then we polish. And that takes a while. Actually, it takes probably the majority of the fabrication process when you're doing a band like this, because you want to get all the scratches out, you want it to look polished, and that just requires going up 3 different grits and then a final polish, so it takes a bit. But we need to know what material this is. It's 14 karat gold, so we're stamping 14K on the inside. So that's indicated for whoever else may see this ring in the future. We have to mark what it is. Now, anniversaries are pretty special in my opinion. You know, we live in an age of throwing things away, right? Everything's disposable. And marriage is not, in my opinion. And so that's the cool thing about remembering an anniversary and celebrating it. It's like you persevered through a lot. You know what I mean? Like 50% of marriages don't make it. And if you're celebrating an anniversary, you're saying, hey, we made it this far. Let's keep going and, being committed and in covenant with one another. So I love making anniversary gifts. And this one, we're going to polish it up, throw it in the cleaner, and when it comes out, we will have our finished ring. So there we go. That's the whole process, guys. And here's a wonderful ring for a wonderful lady and a couple, and something she'll be able to wear for the rest of her life and pass down to the next generation. I love the texture on this. Look at that. When you spin it around, it's so abstract, but it just catches the light, and it'll hide scratches, and every time you turn it, you'll have a different look, because not every part on this is the same. That's kind of the beauty of the heavy textured bands. Thanks for watching, guys.